is Officer Miller. We have a DOA at 5th and Main. Possible homicide. Victim has a strange card on him. Requesting detectives and ME.
Detective Elijah Cross wasn't the kind of man who chased made-up stories. But this one felt real. Everyone was talking about a man named Null. No one knew who he was. No photos. No fingerprints. No clues. Just people found dead from drug overdoses. Always in groups. Always quiet. 3 people had died in just 2 weeks. They didn't know each other. But each had the same black business card in their pocket. The card had just one word, Null. On the back, a QR code that didn't work. Cross sat in his office, holding the third card. He ran his thumb over it. He felt small bumps under the letters. They looked like Braille but wasn't Braille. He scanned the bumps and realized they were binary code, 1s and 0s used in computers. The translated code was the same name on the card, Null. There has to be a way to decode this, Detective Cross said. He kept going. Each card had slightly different bumps. He decoded them and found they were giving him places, times, and codes. At first, it didn't make sense, until he matched one of the codes to a local shipping company. Null was using shipping trucks to move drugs. Cross checked the shipping logs. The trucks always moved at night. The boxes were labeled as hygiene products. No one checked them. No one asked questions. He followed one of the trucks one night. It stopped at a cheap clinic outside the city. A man in doctor scrubs took the boxes. He didn't even look inside. Cross waited until they left. He broke open a box with a crowbar. Inside were bottles of vitamins, but they weren't vitamins. He had the pills tested. They were super strong opioids, man-made drugs that worked slowly. That's why people died hours later without anyone knowing why. Everything was careful. Hidden. Smart. But Cross still had no name, no person to blame. He went back to the QR codes. This time, he used infrared light and found something new, an invisible number. It looked like a phone number, just one number off from emergency lines used by hospitals. He traced the number. A few hours later, a signal came from a phone near a fancy rehab center, the kind that kept patient names secret. Cross lied and said he was a family member looking for help. He got inside, asked some basic questions, and looked around. That's when he saw the man from the drug delivery. He wasn't just a delivery guy. He was a doctor. Dr. Malin Verge. He had a clean record, helped people with addiction, and secretly owned companies that moved drugs. He didn't just treat sick people. He made them sick. He gave them pills that made them dependent, then sent them out into the world. The black cards weren't just for fun. They were like secret invitations. They helped him find people to get hooked. Cross didn't arrest him right away. He was looking for concrete evidence and was secretly following Dr. Verge. 2 nights later, under a pale moon and the soft sound of streetlights buzzing, Dr. Malin Verge drove up to a locked warehouse. This was the same place Cross had found from the clues on the second black card. Verge got out of his car and looked around, like he wanted to make sure no one was watching. He moved carefully, like he thought he couldn't be seen. But Cross was already there, hiding in the shadows. He watched as Verge opened the big steel doors and went inside. Cross waited a few seconds, then quietly followed. His steps made no sound on the gravel. Inside, the air smelled bad, like old oil and dust. Boxes were piled up high. A single light hung from the ceiling, making a buzzing noise. Cross slowly walked closer, gun drawn but low. Dr. Verge stood at a metal table, reading a paper with lists on it. He didn't act surprised when Cross stepped into the light. "You figured it out," Verge said calmly, like he had expected Cross to show up. Cross didn't lower his gun. "You signed your name on this, Doctor. You wanted me to find you." Verge smiled and said, "It was never about hiding. It was about control." Cross took another step forward and said, "Those pills killed people." "You knew they would." Verge shook his head and said, "People want relief, detective. I gave it to them. Quietly. I gave them something cleaner than street drugs." "But you also made them addicts," Detective Cross said. Suddenly, Verge's hand moved toward something on the table, under a cloth. "Don't," Cross warned. But Verge moved fast. He grabbed a syringe and tried to stab Cross in the neck. Cross jumped to the side. The needle only scratched his jacket. He swung his arm hard and knocked Verge backward. Verge fell into a stack of boxes, and they crashed to the ground. Bottles rolled everywhere. Verge got up quickly and grabbed a metal rod from the floor. He swung at Cross. Cross blocked it with his arm, pain shooting up from the hit. He ducked, rushed forward, and tackled Verge to the ground. He held him there. Both of them were breathing heavily. Cross took out his phone and called for help. "This is the end for you," he said, locking Verge's hands behind his back with cuffs. A few minutes later, police sirens rang out. Officers ran into the warehouse. Cross looked around at all the boxes, each one full of pills made to look safe but meant to kill slowly. Now, he had everything he needed to shut the whole operation down. Finally, the man behind Null was finally caught and would spend the rest of his life in prison.